technique that is used to consciously alter mental, emotional, or physical states. It promotes stress reduction, increases energy and emotional resilience by modulating the autonomic nervous system. We find out now about how breathwork. We are going to unpack breathwork now with Metaphysician working on the field of harmonic recalibration, and it's Brigitte Heeb. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on Out and About.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. How are you?
It's a pleasure. I'm doing well. I really
Good.
am. And I'm one of those people that forget to breathe. So as I'm speaking to you now, I'm going to make it a choice of mine to breathe properly. Okay, can you see me on your screen? And then tell me if I stop breathing. Can you also tell
I
when
can't
someone is not
I
breathing?
can't see you on the screen yet. I just see the Channel Africa branding.
Ah, man, you can't see me. Okay, but then by the way I'm delivering my conversation, does it seem like I
Here we
don't
go.
breathe as I should so far?
Um, so essentially I can pick up like nervousness in the sense that this is a subject matter that you may not know about. So I've picked
Mm-hmm.
that up.
Ah.
But it's why I specifically asked you how are you so that you could take a moment to pause and breathe, which you did.
Even before I brought you on, I'm like, let me breathe. Like, breathe. Like, breathe
Mm.
in. Because that's one of the things I don't do. I don't breathe as well as I should. So let's
Well, I
talk
think
about. Mm-hmm.
most people don't actually, and this is why breath work is so powerful. We're breathing, it's the first thing we do when we come out of the womb, and it's the last thing that we will do when we step into whichever space we believe we go to. So the breath is this weave between life, and we're mostly doing it quite unconsciously, and there's very many subconscious and unconscious patterns that a facilitator can see in the breath. So it's a very, very powerful medicine that just sits right under your nose.
So then, for someone new like myself, you are right about information relating to breath work, and I think most
Yes.
of the time I'm always learning with the listener when I'm doing this. So that's why I also want to consciously tap into my own breath work while I'm doing. I don't think it will take the number of minutes that we're going to be doing this, but it's a start. It really is. For someone who's new
Exactly.
to breath work, what is the most surprising and immediate shift that people will usually feel in their bodies during their first session?
So so the first session is sometimes quite hard because many of the unconscious breath patterns that I told you about or our unconscious trauma patterns start coming up. So people may feel quite nervous, and most of the time I think people are worried, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to do this for a full hour or however long the session is?
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got a good facilitator and you're just listening and really your greatest opportunity is to relax, and to just focus on the breath, no thoughts, no anything else. So you spoke of, what will a person feel if they're able to what we call drop in. They should go into a really internal space, an internal feeling center, activating the feeling body and begin to really feel what's happening in the body, which I think is very, very powerful.
Also, you speak about harmonic recalibration. How does intentional
Yes.
breathing then is able to retune our personal frequency when we feel out of sync?
So, I mean, we've got Earth's frequency, which is vibrating at a certain harmonic frequency and pattern, as do we have frequency coming from the sun, as is everything. This entire spectrum of reality is emitting a frequency. We are an interdependent system. So when I say harmonic recalibration, it's really also speaking to a belief system that I hold as a metaphysician, as in I'm one that researches reality. And so I would say that God is sound, right? Because if you
Mm-hmm.
look at creation from a quantum physics perspective, you would come to the realization that it's frequency and it's sound waves, right? Which for you guys as a radio station is really cool. And so when we are listening to a beautiful playlist, it might be a shamanic playlist, it might be a theta healing playlist, along with me, because I'm holding a specific frequency as well, we start to merge and we start to realign our nervous systems to the most optimal experience. So along with my training and my nervous system, it may have an impact on you. And then of course, so obviously I'm speaking quite quantum physics here, but to come back to breath work, how would it realign you is essentially it's helping you shift through trauma. And to release some trauma in a session like that, it's kind of like laughter. If you're laughing with a best friend, you've shifted a frequency. So if you are releasing trauma through a breath work, which is highly likely that you can do so and will do so, of course, you come out of that and you're like, I feel amazing again, I hope that's somewhat answered. I could speak for 4 hours on these topics, so I'm just trying to keep it short as well.
But I wonder if I come for the session for the first time and I feel the relief, will my body remember, or I'm gonna have to keep trying or practicing until it can be part of me?
Yes, I think that practice session and the way you described it, so that it's part of me, is a very powerful wording. And to become part of me is a word we use in the conscious community called embodiment. So once you are embodied in these practices, you no longer necessarily need to go to a big breathwork session, but you start to instill presence in your life. And in that presence, you will start to come into breath consideration. So like when you're driving your car and you're just in a quiet moment and you're like, oh my gosh, or where was I in that moment? Sometimes we're reading a book and we've read a whole chapter, but we don't know what we've read. So that presence is going to start coming into your space once you've you can pick many different spiritual techniques. Breathwork is just a really, really powerful one because it doesn't involve anything other than you. So we don't have to really deal with many belief system structures. Are we Christian? Are we Catholic? Are we Muslim? Do we believe in life after death? Are we taking psychedelics to get to this space? No, we're just breathing. You're being guided. Your nervous system is releasing tension. Therefore, you are releasing stress. You are also learning about yourself, so your self-limitations. Are you moving through fear, etc., etc.? And so there's a lot of information that can come. And I think from a nice, big, beautiful, powerful breathwork session, what it'll bring you if you maintain this sort of practice of presence is exactly that, presence. And so you become more embodied in your reality, which I think is important because we have so much noise. So yes, the byproduct of it is powerful, but we have to remember the world that we live in is very busy, and this reality functions on attention. Who can grab your attention at any point in time? And so, this practice, as easy as it sounds, to actually embody it as a walking being, breathing sound wave, is actually mastery in itself as well. But it's not difficult. It's just Earth is a tricky place.
I say Earth is always alive. It's always on. It's just always,
Yes.
there's no, it's forever on. So I wonder,
Exactly.
when you breathe in and you have to hit the right places, where should the breath go? Because it can't be in your chest. I mean, I went to a drama school and they used to say, for you to be able to articulate and project, it shouldn't be stuck on your chest. It needs to go down.
Correct.
And for me, truly, I struggled with that for 4 years. I don't even know how I passed my physical classes. But there was one position that the teacher would make us do, and it will really work. And it's if I tuck my
Lie down.
heels under,
Yes.
and then you stretch your arms, and then you sit on your heels, and you stretch your
Okay.
arms, and then you kneel down, but you must tuck your heels under. You must sit on your
Okay.
heels. I would find that
Yes.
working. The breath would go in, and it just opens the rib cage and all the way to the
Hmm.
back. That's how it worked.
I think,
Mm,
yeah, I think what's nice about that practice is it's quite functional, meaning you can, like you say, just tuck your feet under, sit on your heels, and the lifting of the arms is already expanding
mm,
everything, right? It's like a reflex moment. If you have any animals or even a baby that lies on their back like that, that is a surrender movement. So it's kind of giving communication to the nervous system that we're going to start working in this space. But to answer your question, so for the session, there's so many different breath practices. There's pranayama and fire breath and kundalini and holotropic breath work, etc., etc., etc. So, but the one that I work with, we are lying down, you are blindfolded, you're nice and warm, you've got your blankie on, maybe even a pillow under your knees so that your body is comfortable, your back is supported, a pillow under your head, your neck is supported, the eye mask so that you can really go into this womb space, this feminine space, and just be on your own. And then I really like to guide my clients and students to have in the beginning to have your hands on your belly and to really feel your belly expanding like a balloon, allowing the rib cage to expand. If you have enough breath, allowing that breath to come up into the heart center so that you don't forget your heart space. And then you just exhale and drop it. You just drop the breath. And the thing about breath work is that it's conscious, connected breath. So there are no pauses between inhalation and exhalation. And this is what really gets the engine of healing going through the body and through the mind and through the psyche and soul.
mm. So in the
Mm.
fast-paced world, where really there's so much demands, something happens and I just need a moment and I need to do my breath work. How much
Mm.
time do I need if I say, let me just get a moment?
I think you can stabilize quite quickly because intention is a powerful thing. So let's say you're at the office and you're having a bit of a panic. I would just go to the bathroom or, or wherever you can go. But you really want to be on your own. And essentially, you want to practice what's called a rescue breath
Mm,
or a rescue exhale. And this is kind of the same breath that happens when we're at the end of a cry, particularly women. We have this
mm-hmm,
cry and it's really it's big, it's dramatic, there's a lot happening in the cry and we call that catharsis, so really releasing. But at the end of the cry, what happens is we start to take a double length exhale. So for example sake, I'm going to give it a go, as if I was in drama class. So we would be crying and we go and then we stabilize and we go, oh. And so that exhale at the end is just
mm,
extending its time. And I think if you can just focus on that, it's like if you were breathing underwater as well. The focus is on the exhale to stabilize the inhale. So if you really just let it all go, like let everything out of your lungs, you can kind of really come to rebalance quite quickly within the body. And again, particularly with intention. And just keep your body as still as possible because essentially you want to begin to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, to come back into rest and relaxation, to
mm,
let the body know and the mind know that you are safe. And so that quick practice of just closing your eyes, doing a beautiful inhale, and you don't even have to do you don't have to do connect breath. You just have to breathe. It's really just, even if it's just your normal breath. I don't want to give any names to it because I
mm-hmm,
want this to be accessible to as many people.
mm-hmm,
Just close your eyes, shut up, and breathe.
mm.
That's it. Call that meditation, call that stress relief, call that a little, your own personal practice in the bathroom at work or whatever. But yeah, just breathe, just breathe. And another really, really, really good exercise, if you're very, very stressed and you're really feeling the energetic charge, maybe you can't do this at work, but if you're at home, just start screaming into a pillow and start kind of moving into a tantrum, like a 2-year-old would go into a tantrum. And that sometimes allows release to happen. And once you've had your cry, and then again, you're coming to that extended exhale at the end, like that double length exhale, your system will start to regulate and you will have a feeling of relief and release. I say crying is a really, really powerful thing. Screaming and crying. We kind of hold children back from doing that, and masculine, like little boys don't cry, this kind of story. It's very dangerous for humanity, because we're taught to manage our emotions, but actually they need to come up. So if we can find ways to regulate that safely, efficiently, and effectively, then I say all power to you.
How, for you, what was that aha moment in your own journey that proved to you that the breath is actually a tool for deep metaphysical transformation?
So I worked with mushrooms for many, many years in the psychedelic medicine space, for
Okay.
healing, trauma release, spiritual advancement, etc., etc. And years later, I went to my first breathwork session, and I just thought, oh my God, like this is like it has potential to be like a psychedelic experience, or just as spiritual or just as powerful. Obviously, not as long, but it was just so powerful for me that I literally came out of that breathwork session, and I started researching where to do breathwork facilitation training. So I ended up training in Canada, for very, very, very beautiful facilitators training. And yeah, I've been incorporating breathwork with my work ever since, because it's such a great trauma release, and particularly having worked with psychedelics, which is a trauma therapy as one aspect of it. If people can release their trauma and their fears, before going into the psychedelic space through the breath work, well, then I've really got a beautiful formula here. So it's very, very powerful, and it's become a huge integral part of my work. And yeah, for me, like I said, it was just I couldn't be, I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I just experienced, because we've spoken really about the physical attribute, the physical attributes, the trauma release, how it's oxygenating the blood, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole bunch of physiological things. But, my intrigue has always been spirituality, and to really push the boundaries of what I'm capable of as a human being, or a spirit in a human body. And so, like I said, the breathwork experience I had was just so powerful. I was just like, oh my gosh, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It's really beautiful feeling through the body, to be so oxygenated and have all this energy and electricity, because we are electromagnetic frequencies. We've spoken about this word frequency, but to have all of this electricity moving through you and to feel so energized, and to be in this rhythm. So you essentially become the breath and nothing else exists. And again, to have that happen through you, by you, and for you as a medicine is like, it's a golden ticket.
It's incredible. Where can we find you?
So I feel like Instagram is the easiest place to find me. I am quite censored. I do have YouTube channels and all of these things, but my Instagram will have my link tree to all of my work.
Yes.
And my Instagram handle is my name. So it's Brigitte Heeb, Brigitte HEEB for basket. I'm not sure if you guys pop a little, I don't know if anyone else can get it anyway, but yeah, Instagram, Brigitte Heeb or Ascension Medicine.
Thank you for reminding me to breathe this morning. And I sort of do the pillow thing. It's just that I judge myself and I'm like, okay, don't be so dramatic. But honestly, now that you mentioned that, actually that
No,
helps. You
I
know?
would say get more dramatic, like really, like, so like drama,
Yeah.
if you're studying drama, you've got to get into character. So you can feel an energy there, like don't hold it back. And I always say, planet Earth, like we've said, is a very interesting space and it's a very difficult space right now. We've got a lot of things going on collectively as humanity. And again, breathwork is just so powerful and to let it out. And I say, like, you have permission. Adults hold so much, and children, they have a tantrum and then they're off running, eating candy floss. Like, how does that happen? It's because they've released everything. They've been authentic and they've been present with what they were feeling. And you mentioned shame, like, I feel shameful, like if I'm going, or dramatic. These are programs and codes that we really need to drop as adults because if we're circling around shame and guilt and shame and guilt, and we can't get to the core of our release or that which we're feeling because we're guilty, because of this story and that story and these indoctrinations, we're never going to release that energy. And so the trauma will just keep sitting in the body, and we think we're being amazing by, putting the lid on it, but it's actually not beneficial for us in any way. So I say, you go, girl.
Yay. It's me and the pillow from now on. Thank you so much.
That's it.
Thank you, Brigitte. Have a fantastic day. And yes, we really do appreciate this session.
It's such a pleasure. If anyone is in Johannesburg, I am doing a breathwork medicine ceremony. I'll be working with cannabis breathwork on the 17th of April, and I hope you can find me quite easily. Much
All
love to
right.
everybody.
And
Thank you so much.
thank you once again. We need to really, really go into that break. It's 10:44 Central African time.
Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa.